Here's something that people don't tell you about public speaking. Your audience's brain is actively working against you. Let me explain. How you're saying something is at least as important as what you're saying. Now, my teacher friends of mine who are professors or teach in public schools, they don't like this because they think, oh, my job is to convey the information to my students. That's it. That's my sole responsibility. And I say to them, no. You are responsible for conveying the information, but you are also responsible for conveying it in a way that is entertaining to your audience. As a public speaker, you are an entertainer, whether you want to be or not. That's actually what you are, my belief. So what does that mean? As an entertainer, it is your job to keep your audience focused and for your message to land. So you're not just responsible for putting the information out into the world, you're responsible for that message actually landing on the ears of your listener. And that requires you to understand some aspects of human psychology, how people listen. Our brains are designed to tune out. It's called habituation. When cavemen heard a rustling in a bush, they probably perked up and they thought, oh, this could be a threat. But when they heard a rustling in a bush a 10th time and a saber-toothed tiger did not pop out, they probably stopped paying attention because it was no longer a threat. Your PowerPoint slide is like the rustling bush. It's just adding noise to what you're saying. So what separates really exceptional speakers from amateur ones? Well, the really good speakers, they understand 3 psychological triggers that hijack human attention. The first is the pattern interrupt. Your brain craves novelty. So while you're speaking, you can vary the length of your pauses. You can vary the tonality, the pitch height. You can vary the emphasis that you're putting on certain words. You can dial it down to a whisper when you want to make a point. You can lengthen the pauses. You can stretch out certain words. Your words can be staccato. You can add punctuation and emphasis to words. Or your words can be more legato, like a flowing melody, moving up and down. You can even vary how your body's moving. You could rock a little bit back and forth. You could move to this side of the stage. The idea is you should try to change things up maybe once every 30 to 60 seconds. So break the pattern, people like that. The second thing is to lead with stories. We are just wired for narrative. And when you convey something in terms of a story, instead of just raw facts or numbers, that is way more engaging for your audience. For example, I'm gonna say something, and then I will say the same thing in terms of a story. And watch the difference. Studies show that audiences remember 65% more information when it's conveyed in a story. Versus, I bombed my first presentation because I led with statistics. 3 months later, I started my presentation with a story and the room fell silent. There is a really big difference between those two things, right? You're basically conveying the same information, but the second way, there's actually a human connection there. I'm leaning in to my experience, and chances are the experiences that you have had will probably resonate with your audience because they've probably had a similar experience. The third thing is what I'll call the curiosity gap. And what you're doing here is creating open loops in your audience's mind that you don't close until much later in your talk. So here's an example. I could say, I'm going to share with you the one technique that transformed my speaking for good. But first, let me tell you why most advice isn't very good. Notice what I did there. I opened a question in your mind. You want to know what that one technique is, but I'm not going to answer the question just yet. I'm going to make you wait a little bit until the end. Your audience has to keep listening until you close that loop. You can combine these different triggers too. So for example, I could say, everything you know about confidence is wrong. Boom. What did that do? It created a pattern interrupt, right? That's not really something you would expect. And I also created an open loop because now you really want to listen on and hear, okay, what do I know about confidence that's wrong? So remember this, as a public speaker, it is your job to capture and hold your audience's attention because you are an entertainer. Your audience wants to be informed, but they also want to be entertained.